Welcome back, founders, to Founderama Live. Another episode this week. This week's last. Today's Thursday, and so welcome back. All right. So again, as I was doing the last few days, I'm gonna pick a topic today that is slightly away from the usual stuff that I talk about, which is okay. Let me. This happens every day. And Yeah, okay. So, away from the usual things that I talk about, such as funding and funding related. Now, of course, this one is startup related, so it's somewhere there. Today, we talk about the power of emotional intelligence in startup leadership. So, what I'm really trying to touch upon today is what it takes for a startup leader, founder, or whoever, to try and build a sustainable kind of business, right? So, and this could, of course, also take into account when you're funding, when you're seeking funding, right? So, um, as startup founders, you already know that building a successful business is not just about having a great idea, right? Or the technical skills to execute it. You need to be a great leader, and that includes having strong emotional intelligence. Now, strong emotional intelligence doesn't simply just mean that you're in tune with your startup or your business plan, or yes, those are very important, but also much more beyond that. And of course, this emotional intelligence is made up of a few different pillars that are quite obvious and quite commonly known, but putting them together and thinking through them from the lens of your startup is much more important than simply looking at them as an individual, right? As just a human, right? Okay. So let's look at those few different pillars that make up for the emotional intelligence that you need. Now, mind you, I'm telling you, these are common, right? You already know these things, but I'm going to come from a perspective of not only as a startup founder, which I am, but also as an angel investor and a startup advisor. So I'm going to bring those three kind of viewpoints and talk about these different pillars. The first one is self awareness, the ability to recognize and understand your own emotions and how they impact your behavior and decisions is self awareness, right? A lot of people are aware of themselves, a lot of people are not. I worked with hundreds of founders literally over the last few years, and I've seen my fair share of founders who don't have the self awareness, right? Because as a startup leader, being self aware is critical to making effective decisions and managing your team. If you don't have a team, fear not, because team doesn't necessarily mean the team that you've hired for your startup, right? So if you're a solo person building your startup, you still have a team, right? It's the people you work with. It's the people you maybe outsource some of your stuff to. It's the people who may be developing your product, if it's a SaaS, or your marketing. It could be your PR network. Like yesterday, I was talking about a full kind of support system that every startup founder needs around them to be successful. That is your team. Uh, your Look, if you have a co-founder, yes, okay, that's great. Even if you don't, you're solo, you're flying solo, then your family is your team, right? Your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your friends, your kind of network connections on LinkedIn. All these are teams, right? So how do you improve self-awareness? Practice mindfulness, such as meditation or journaling, to become more in tune with your thoughts and feelings. Okay, you're probably thinking, Mash, what are you saying? We know this, right? Mindfulness, that's what everybody's talking about. Yes and no, because when you talk about mindfulness and meditation and journaling, you do that as an individual, that's fine. but also do it as a startup founder. So you're more intentional. Now, for example, I do meditation. I have two kinds of meditations that I do, and journaling too. The first is me as a person. And I've been meditating for years now, right? Going back all the way, I would say 10, 15 years. I had different phases of my meditation. First was meditation just to de-stress, all that. That was for a few years. Then around 2012, 2013, my meditation went to a next level, and it was much more intentional. It was much more deep, and I tied it to me rebuilding my startup. And I talk about this story, almost not every day, but most of the time, which is one of the startups, one of the businesses that almost crashed and burned, and then I revived it like a phoenix out of ashes to build to build it back to its former glory. We were hitting $1 million again, all that, right? So part of that, part of that success, part of that process was me scaling my meditation to the next level. And the way I did it is through intentional thinking, right? So the personal one, I still do now. Whenever I can grab a few minutes, I meditate or I listen to, Dharma discourses, things like that, which is also meditation. Because, hey, going for a walk is a meditation. Hiking through woods is a meditation. Washing dishes at the sink is meditation. Then there is the meditation as a founder. And I do that when I am faced with a challenge, when I talk to a new potential partner and I have a discussion. I sit down after that Zoom call is over. I sit down literally on the floor. I have a cushion and all at the back. I sit down and I just think through what happens. So this meditation is not to let go of thoughts, but rather to process the thoughts. So anyway, I know I'm spending too much time on this. Maybe a separate video. I'll probably do that a different day. Journaling, the same thing. I have a personal journal. This is about my thoughts on a personal, and then on a personal basis, and then I have journaling that I do for business, right? So I have a secret blog that I write. I record videos, or sometimes I just talk to a camera, not for the public. It's not to put out there. It's on Evernote and it's locked up. Now it's moved to Notion and it's locked, right? So do that. You got to be in tune with your thoughts and feelings. What are you feeling? Especially about your startup, right? What's happening? Are you feeling scared? Which we all do. Then, meditate on that, journal that, have a vlog, just talk to yourself, switch on your iPhone or whatever phone, your camera, record it, voice notes and all that, right? Seek feedback from others to gain a better understanding of how you're perceived. Now, this connects with yesterday's live episode where I was talking about a support system and how, as a startup founder, one of the best support structures you can have is by connecting with peers. And I was also talking about how Founderama, I'm trying to build a peer network. It's not ready. It's not out there yet. Probably in the next 6 months. But importance of connecting with like-minded founders. It's very important. And then seeking feedback. If you're in a network, throw this out. I'm feeling a little down now because I don't know, SVP, right? So all that, right? Try get some feedback and how you're perceived. Reflect on your own experiences and emotions to gain insight into your own behavior and decision making. So if you're having a little bit of a downturn with your startup and things are not going according to plan, if you're seeking funding, it's been 3 months, you have not secured funding, then of course, one part of it would be you going and looking at the pitch deck and the business model, all these things. Yeah, that's one part of it. The other could be looking at your own emotions and saying, okay, am I desperate now? Am I scared? And because of that, what's happening? with the pitches, right? So what happened yesterday on a Zoom call with a potential investor? If it's recorded, then just go through and replay it to see how you're behaving, what you're saying, how does your confidence levels look, right? So all that's the emotions, because emotions dictate how you come across. And yes, you can try and control it, but sometimes you cannot. Sometimes it's unconscious, right? So, okay, self awareness, big thing for emotional intelligence. Next one, self regulation. The ability to manage your emotions and behaviors in a way that is productive and effective, right? So, first, becoming aware of your emotions as a founder, as a startup leader, even if it's a business that's been running for a number of years and you're the leader, uh, you know, the next part is to regulate your emotions. So once you're aware of, okay, this is how I am feeling in this situation, and this is how I'm behaving because of those feelings. Next is, how do you regulate them, right? So because as a startup leader, being able to regulate your emotions is important because it sets the tone for your team. And again, when I say team, it doesn't necessarily mean your employees. Your team is also your customers. Your customers are your team, believe it or not. Your potential investor is your team. Your friends and family are your team. Your peer network is your team. So, how do you improve self regulation? Practice relaxation techniques such as deep breathing or progressive muscle relaxation to manage stress. Because at the end of the day, look, I'm a startup founder, you guys are too, and we know that stress is a double edged sword, right? Sometimes, actually, I would say most of the times, stress does help us, of course, if you can regulate it, right? I feel that personally, I find stress to be stimulating. Stress actually enables me to take action. It enables me to go beyond my comfort zone, my bubble, and think through, have innovative ideas, have breakthroughs, epiphanies. All these things happen when I am under stress. But stress that is bad, that is overstressed, that leads to overthinking, that leads to fear, that leads to uh, paralysis of the mind, um, that leads to burnout. Those are bad. So those need to be regulated. For instance, whenever I, when I before I get on a call to, I don't know, negotiate, pitch a big deal with a potential client, I do this relaxation kind of process, right? So the Zoom call, I take 15 minutes before that. It starts off with meditation, 5-10 minutes, and then I do a bit of, physical, because it's not just about the mind. In fact, physical relaxation, physical kind of regulation regulates the mind, right? Because where the energy goes, the mind goes. And the energy, if it's pent up, you are having the stressful shoulders, that leads to stress. You get on this call, you're not your best. So, deep breathing, you know, 4 in, 8 out. So you breathe in 4 seconds, you breathe out 8 seconds, and in between these two, you should hold your breath if you can. Of course, it depends on your physicality and all that. Muscle relaxation and all that. You need to manage your stress with that. Set boundaries to manage your workload and prevent burnout. Okay, so as founders, we wear different hats, right? We are doing everything. We are the marketing guy, we are or gal, or we are the strategist, we are the pitcher, we are everything, right? And if you already have clients, then you are also the producer, you are the service person, all these things. So the biggest thing is burnout. And now burnout can be different types. There is the invisible burnout, and there is, of course, the visible burnout. Visible burnout, sometimes, you know, you just get into bed, you curl up into a fetal position, and you are like, I don't want to do anything with this world, right? I don't want to open my eyes. That's burnout, complete burnout, physical. But sometimes, yeah, you're moving around, you are okay, but internally you're burning out. So you need to set workload and timing so that you don't burn out, right? So this is very important. You need to set boundaries as a startup founder. Practice empathy to understand how your behavior might be impacting others. So part of the self-regulation is also how the impact you have on your team, big one, on your customers, even a bigger one, and of course on the rest of the world. Because what is the point of you as a startup founder really, getting worked up and stressed up and then taking it out on your family, for instance? Yeah, you come home and you're irritable with your spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, your kids, just flying off the handle, or just being moody, or being depressed, being angry. What is the point of, having this startup successful, making money, being out there? What is the point of all that? What is that? What is it? Just for vanity? Oh yeah, I have a startup and I'm very busy. I make $1 million a year. What is the point if you don't balance your life with your success or the lack of, right? What is the point? I would say if it's consistent and consistently you're stressed and nothing is happening, you're struggling with your startup, and it's showing on your family, and your own mental wellness, then I say, you know what? Evaluate it, talk to someone, talk to an advisor, and then just shut it down. Just move on, right? Yes, okay. A lot of people, go for startups because of their passion. They want to make a difference in this world. They want to change the world. That's nice. But a lot of people also just do it because of the money in it, right? And when the money doesn't come, they get stressed up, and that then spills over into their personal life, into to the people that love them, or families, and all these things. And I say, no, it's not worth it. And trust me, I've been an entrepreneur since 1998. That is a long time, right? I've been a business owner since 1998. I've been a startup founder since around 2000, when the idea of a startup really came through. But 1998, my first business, that was a startup. We didn't call it a startup. So trust me, I've been through the ups and downs of my startups really doing well, hitting $1 million a year, multiple millions a year, and almost going bankrupt, crashing and burning, recovering from that. And all this through me, my mental health, and my family. Those have always been important to me. Not at the beginning, but I realized early on. Thankfully, I had that epiphany, and thankfully, I have a wife who enabled me to look at it, and she balances me out. And therefore, right now, before a few years back, my business, my life was my business, of course, but my business, my life was structured around my business. Now, my business is structured around my life. And my primary aim is to travel with my wife, right? So we travel. We love road trips. We love traveling through Europe, around the world, and that is the main priority. And business is only to make it happen, right? Okay, enough of my personal kind of a thing, but I thought I would share that with you because I do have a lot of experience. So I'm telling you, if it is affecting your relationships, if it is affecting your family life, your kids, just stop it. Stop doing that. You know what? Simplify your life, and you could do anything just to pay the bills, right? Don't do this just to pay the bills. Don't get burnt out. Don't have this stress. Okay. Motivation. Okay. The ability to stay motivated and focused on your goals even in the face of obstacles or setbacks. This is important because as a startup leader, staying motivated is important because it sets an example for your team. Again, I'm talking from a team perspective, and staying motivated is very, very crucial, right? So, how do you improve your motivation? Set clear and achievable goals for yourselves and your team, especially as a startup founder, as a startup leader. You need to look at your goals and set boundaries on them. They got to be realistic. Be realistic to yourself, right? With yourself, and also be realistic with your team. Okay. So let's say you're doing, I don't know, $1 million in revenue every year, right? And the goal is to double that next year. It's a good goal, it's a lofty goal, but look at the metrics, look at your business model, look at, track the metrics, like I said, and then decide in your own heart, is this a feasible goal? Don't go for this, uh, it's I hate, yeah, it's a strong word, but I really hate this cultural kind of concept where they're like, just aim for the moon, right? Sky is the limit. Just aim for this and that. No, no, don't aim for the moon. Don't do that. Um, Aim for a realistic goal that that can be achieved. Number one, but also that will keep your sanity. That will enable you to live like a person, like a human being. That will enable you to love your family, your friends. That will enable you to spend some time walking in nature, hiking, or flying your drone, or reading your favorite book, going on a road trip with your loved ones, right? So those are the goals. So if your business model doesn't, in your heart that it's not realistic to double your revenue next year, don't set that as a goal. 50%, 20%, 10%. It's okay. Just maintain the momentum. Don't dip. That could be a goal. That's a great goal. If you're making a year, a million a year, Jen, next year also million a year. That's okay. Don't go for stupid goals. Yeah. Practice positive self talk to maintain a positive mindset. This is a big one for me. This is a big one for me. I am always positive, right? Even in the face of, and I don't know if you've watched one of the videos, live episodes I did, like couple of couple of days back, or was it last week? I was talking about being positive, um, and being in the moment, right? Because there is no future. And positive negativity comes, there are two types of negativity, of course. One is you're negative, or you feel negative because of future, right? A fear of the future. So you're thinking, oh my God, am I going to make payroll? Oh my God, am I going to be able to pay bills? And because of all that, you become negative. It's fear. Negativity is nothing but fear, right? But if you say, this is the moment, and practice gratitude and say, this is the moment, and look back, what are the things that I've already achieved? What are the things that I have in my life? Do you have someone you love? You have a family. You have friends that care about you. That's great. You got all your limbs. You got all your life forces. Your health. Do you have that? Fantastic. You got your mental sanity. All that. You got that? Fantastic, right? So self-talk. Tell yourself it's okay. Tell yourself don't be don't be negative. Just be positive. But I'm not talking about the mumbo jumbo positive self-help bull butter that is put out there. No. Positive self-talk through your own kind of essence, not just because positive self-talk can lead to unnecessary kind of goal setting and all that, right? Be careful with that. Okay, celebrate small wins along the way to stay motivated. Absolutely. Okay, you're not getting funded. Let's say you spent some money, you got that pitch deck set up, you spent some money, you got your MVP going on, and funding. It's been 6 months, no funding, nobody's interested. You go on these funding pitches, and they say we'll get back to you. You never hear back from them. Then yeah, it's hard to stay motivated. It's hard to stay positive. But look at the small wins. First of all, it's you are you're pushing this startup forward, right? You're having this idea. You have this kind of motivation to try and change the world. Celebrate those small wins. right? You already have done your due diligence. You've put together a team. That's a small win. That's a big win, right? So do that. All right. Next one, empathy. The ability to understand and relate to the emotions of others. Oh, very important, right? Because as a startup leader, empathy is important because it helps you build strong relationships with your team, customers, and partners. Need I say more, right? Empathy. Need I say more? How do you improve your empathy? Practice active listening to truly understand the perspective of others. Listening is so important with your teams, with your customers, with your potential partners, funding investors. Listen, listen, listen. Yes, you can talk, but also listen. And not just listen what they're saying, but active listen. The intention behind what they're saying. It can come in really handy. Take the time to understand the needs and concerns of your team, customers, and partners. Like investors, for example, right? Yesterday I was talking about how you need to really care about potential investors to build a relationship with them, right? Just like that with your team too. Right now, as a startup, and let's say you don't need funding. You're already on there. You got your funding. You're building. You're scaling. You're growing. It's much more important at that time as a leader, as a startup founder, for you to understand the needs and concerns of your team, right? The needs and concerns of your team are actually more important, and your customers too are more important than the needs of the startup, the needs of yourself, your stakeholders, shareholders, and investors. Trust me, yes. The the biggest issue that startups have at the moment and why spectacularly successful startups are failing is because they put the needs of their investors, their shareholders, before the needs of their teams, customers, and partners. It should be the other way around, because if you put the needs of your team and your customers and your partners ahead of the needs of your shareholders or your investors, then what happens is you will have a successful business, you will be profitable, which will help your investors, your shareholders, right? So be careful with that. Practice practice perspective taking to see things from someone else's point of view, and I always do this, right? So whenever I have a negotiation, whenever I have an issue, whenever there's something that I need to solve, when it comes to people, that could be my team, this could be my partners, that could be my family, this could be friends. I always so I have this dialogue that I do. From my end, of course, the dialogue is continuous. Then I take a break and I say, hang on, let me be the other person. And this could be my wife. This could be my friend. This could be my daughter. This could be my investor. This could be a startup founder that is asking me to invest in them. Anyone. I take their shoe and say, okay, what is it that they're really, what do they want in this? Yeah. So look, there's always this, everyone has two stories, two journeys. There is the external journey, there is the internal journey, right? And this is based off of the journey of the hero's journey, as they call it, by Carl Jung, and a lot of other people talked about it. And the idea is that if you look at Lord of the Rings, for example, right, you got Frodo, who has two journeys. The external journey is that he needs to take this evil ring to Mount Doom and then just destroy it. That's the external. And then he's he's got people to help him on the journey. But the internal journey is he's fighting with himself, the temptations, the weaknesses of the human spirit. You see that? Just like that. So I say, what is their external? Okay, the external journey is they want this, they want funding, they want this. What is the internal journey? What is it? And I try to play that devil's advocate, and you got to do that. That will help you, right? Build up that empathy. Okay. Social skills. Okay. The ability to communicate effectively, build relationships, and influence others. This is a part of emotional intelligence that every startup founder needs to have. And if you don't have it, you need to build it. You need to work hard building this skill, because as a startup leader, social skills are important because they help you build a strong and motivated team, as well as attract investors and partners. Your social skills are paramount not just for your startup, but also building strong relationships with your family, with your partners, with your friends, and so on and so forth, right? So, how do you improve your social skills? Practice networking to build relationships with potential investors, partners, and customers. Now, usually people say, oh, practice just talking in front of a mirror. Forget about all that, right? Start networking. It could be online, of course, or offline, and start building relationship with potential investors, partners, and customers. Because when you're doing that, you will learn a lot about how you're talking, how you're expressing things, what kind of effect it's having on the others. You're not able to influence them, and therefore you tweak what you're saying the next time you're engaging with a potential investor on LinkedIn and they're ignoring you. That's because, yeah, they're busy, but even the busiest person, like Elon Musk, for example, I don't know anyone else who could be more busy than Elon, right? And yet, if you go on Twitter, sometimes he actually responds to someone who has 30 followers, right? Nothing. They are not, I'm not saying they're not important, but they're not. You look, human psychology is that you would expect Elon to respond to someone like Jack Dorsey or, to Bezos or others, right? And the reason Elon, and I've analyzed this, and every time I analyze when he responds, is because the other person had said something that Elon cares about, right? So that's what it is. If you start building these networks, these relationships, you will start to understand what people care about, and your social skills will improve. Seek mentorship from other successful leaders to learn from their experiences. In my book, this is the best and the fastest and the cheapest strategy to really take yourself to the next level as a leader, as a startup founder, and start attracting success towards yourself. And now, what do I mean by that? Why is it the fastest? It's because trial and error, a successful leader, someone who is already successful, they will give you insights. They will cut the time it takes for you to learn how to be an effective leader, how to be an effective founder, how to attract success, right? And it's the best because, come on, yes, reading and all self-learning is important, but this is a shortcut. Why is it the cheapest? Because a lot of people think that, oh, okay, if I seek mentorship, I'll have to pay someone. Usually, yeah, you could sometimes get free mentorship, but really quality mentorship costs money because the other person is giving their time, and time is money, right? So, and they say, oh, that's expensive. I don't want to. It's an expense. It's a cost. No, the real cost is the opportunity cost. If you take time, if you take a year to develop your social skills so that you're so effective that you then become a force that attracts investors, partners, customers as the brand ambassador of your company, that's a year's worth of opportunity cost. But so if you turn that into money numbers, you're gonna see that's a lot of expense, a lot of money lost. It's invisible. But then imagine you take a 10% of that and you pay someone and you get coached, you get mentored. You see where I'm going with this? Yeah. I think you know what? There's a saying that I'm vaguely trying to remember. Maybe I'll paraphrase it. It's not coming to mind, but they said that the most expensive service is the one you don't get, or something like that, right? So spend money. Trust me. Spend money to improve yourself, to go to the next level. Spend money. Develop your communication skills to effectively convey your vision and inspire your team. Okay, again, team is not just your employees, everyone. So you got to improve your communication skills. And you can improve your communication skills by networking, by getting mentored, by coaching and all that, right? Okay. So finally, emotional intelligence is a critical trait for startup leaders who want to build successful businesses. Okay? By improving self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills, you can create positive work environments and inspire your teams to achieve greatness. Remember, building a successful business is not just about having a great idea, but also about being a great leader. right? Okay, that is the presentation. But now let me go and see if there's any questions. All right. Simon on LinkedIn says, please be detailed on the investor side. Um, on the investor side, Simon, I don't know what you mean. Please be detailed on the investor side. So, as an investor, emotional intelligence, I think I've covered this, right? I've spoken quite in depth um, about all different angles as self-help kind of a thing, which is, about how, you can meditate and you can have empathy and all that. Also, I spoke as an investor, what would attract me as an investor, and so on. Okay, so today's episode went over the 30-minute mark because I think this is a very important episode. There's lots and lots of stuff that I can unpack. Maybe in future episodes, I will take each of these topics and do that. And if you have any questions, right, if you're struggling as a startup founder emotionally, um, reach out to me, right? Send me a message on LinkedIn with your situation, and I'll try to offer my 2 cents. Or hit me up on Twitter, send me a message, and I will see how it goes. So, yeah, that's it, I think. So, today's Thursday, so that's it. The live episodes for this week. I will see you again on Monday with another awesome topic that will help you become a better startup founder, that will help you improve your startup, that will help you maybe get that funding you need or grow or scale. And I'm working hard, really hard, on putting together the Founderama network, the Founderama Club, where, yeah, I will I will bring together 100 startup founders, and then I will coach, I will mentor them to go out and seek funding. I will help them get funded directly. I'll open up my connections, my network of family offices and angel investors. In fact, I will represent these 100 founders with the network of investors. I will even pitch on their behalf, all that. So that's in the works. That's happening. And these live episodes are a part of that, right? So reach out to me. This is about relationship building. Don't be afraid. I'm not going to bite or I'm not going to ask you for money, right? So reach out to me because I want to build relationships with genuine founders who are passionate about changing the world, because Founderama is about building 100 unicorns down the line, right? And 100 startups that will change the world. So even if they don't become unicorn, if they change the world, right? So till Monday, go forth, prosper, have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.